What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be discussing the Chicago Bulls and I guess the specific type of trades you might see if the Bulls decide to trade up or trade down in the NBA draft. I feel like it's very simple for a lot of people. We just say the Bulls need to do this and the Bulls need to do that without really discussing what potentially we may have to give up in order to trade up or trade down in this upcoming NBA draft. So that's what we're going to be looking at today, and I guess we're going to be discussing a little bit about that and more in this video. Before we get any further, if you liked the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls. Do you see them trading up or trading down in this NBA draft? Do you see us staying where we are? And what type of players, or what players, if we get any players or we give up any players, would you like to see involved in a trade around the Chicago Bulls? But of course, I think the first and the most obvious choice that we need to discuss is that no players will be involved in a potential trade. Essentially, it could very well be just pick swaps. We swapped our pick with another team's pick. And this could be very interesting, especially if the Bulls give up more than just the first round pick. For example, if we give up a first round pick for this season, the 11th overall pick, and we give up a pick in 3 years' time, for example, teams might be more interested in that than you think. And the reason why is that the Bulls are not very good at the moment, and the Bulls' future is looking rather bleak at this point in time. So teams might be willing to take the chance that we might be bad in 2 to 3 years' time, while we give them our pick, so they'll get a high pick in the NBA draft, and they'll be willing to take that risk in order to give up a first round draft pick for a weaker draft class like this one. Let me give you an example. Let's say the Bulls want to trade up in this NBA draft. The San Antonio Spurs have 2 first round picks that are higher than the Bulls, and the Bulls want to knock into the top 10. The San Antonio Spurs might look at this Bulls team, might analyze the future that we may have, and deem it very weak. Deem it as a risk worth taking. And let's just say the Bulls will have to give up more than the 11th overall pick in order to climb up in this NBA draft. Let's just say they have to give up a 2026 first round pick as well. The Spurs will be interested in that because most likely in 2026, that draft pick will be valued as more and the draft class will probably be stronger, and the Spurs might have a chance to get a very high overall pick from the Bulls side of things just as much as their own side of things. Do you get the idea? I don't think it's too hard to explain, but ultimately teams will be interested in that. In another way, if the Bulls want to trade down in the NBA draft to look for future picks for different years, they might be willing to do that. Let's just say the Lakers. I don't know where the Lakers are, but let's just assume the Lakers or whoever is ahead of us in the draft, 12, 13, 14, and beyond. They want to get into the lottery. And in order to get into the lottery, because they're desperate to sign a player in this draft in the lottery, they are willing to give up future first round picks for the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls might look at their futures and say, well, look, the Lakers, they're getting up there in age. They could potentially have a bleak future in 3 years' time. It could be a trade worth pursuing. The Bulls accept that trade, believing, to be fair, the Lakers don't even have a draft pick in 2026. Regardless, just for anyone, they might say their future's not that bleak or is too bleak, it's not going to be good. We could take the chance and we could get a future first round pick that could be high, I guess, in the NBA draft in future years to come, while sacrificing this 11th overall pick and trading down, or even trading out of the lottery or out of this draft class in general. So those are the trades that could potentially happen without regarding any players. But of course, we need to discuss potential players that we could see leave the Chicago Bulls. And I think the first and the obvious one is Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine has been rumored to go away or to get traded with salary dump in mind. But a salary dump doesn't necessarily impact picks, does it? You could very well see picks being thrown at the Chicago Bulls with a salary dump deal in mind, and that could be a deal the Bulls are willing to accept. So with that being said, I could very much see, let's just say the Knicks go and pursue Zach LaVine and they want to trade Evan Fournier. They might have to throw in a couple of picks to make that deal worthwhile for the Bulls side of things. That could be a situation we go down where we give up a player that wants to leave the Bulls and is on a very high amount of money, but in doing so, you get picks in return. That could be a way we go down. Another way we go down is Nikola Vucevic. Now, this one is going to be rather difficult because I feel personally I think Vucevic is likely to leave. I just don't necessarily know how quickly Vucevic is going to leave the Chicago Bulls. With that being said, there's a very strong possibility he can stay also. But, you know, let's just say AK has constantly talked about the Bulls need to make changes. This Bulls team isn't good enough. We've seen the trial and errors of the Chicago Bulls team. Vucevic is a core piece that we need to change to re-identify this team. This could be the perfect place to do it, where maybe you trade up in this NBA draft and you pick a defensive-minded center, or you pick a center that could potentially be your future cornerstone piece. You also give up a 33-year-old Nikola Vucevic in that deal as well, and you save yourself a bit of money, or whatever the case may be. But Vucevic, I believe, is another way we can go down, even though I find this a little bit more unlikely in all honesty. I think we need to start talking about players that we might like, but ultimately could potentially be up for trade. I'm talking about guys like Alex Caruso, for example. Now, again, the reason why I feel like Alex Caruso could potentially be on the trade block for the Chicago Bulls in this specific NBA draft is because teams are knocking on the door and he's on a cheap contract that's an expiring deal. I think teams are going to be willing to ask for Alex Caruso. I've said it in the past. I think 28 out of the 30 teams, maybe even 29 out of 30 teams would want Alex Caruso on their team. He's an All-NBA defender. He's an elite guard in that position as well with what he's able to do. And he's a perfect team player. In many ways, I call him the glue guy for the Chicago Bulls. I think many teams are going to want that and are going to be willing to offer picks for that as well. So you might see guys that I personally don't want to get rid of if we're trying to compete, like Alex Caruso. We might see him on the trading block in order to go up in the trade situation, or the NBA draft situation, my apologies. So a lot of situations that we could be dealing with here hypothetically. Players I don't see getting traded from this situation. Well, at the end of the day, all the guys that are unrestricted free agents, we know for a fact that they will not be involved in trade situations. We also know for a fact that DeMar DeRozan, again, he's an unrestricted free agent, but we know the Bulls want to keep him around. I think Lonzo Ball would not be involved in trade conversations with the upcoming NBA draft, just because I feel teams will be hesitant to go near him until he proves himself back at the NBA level. And I also think guys like Kobe White, Patrick Williams, who's a restricted free agent, Ayo Dosunmu, I personally don't think these guys are going to be trade pieces going forward, because I think the Bulls have a lot of faith in them to be the future of the Chicago Bulls. So yeah, maybe even guys like Dalen Terry could potentially be involved in that situation. Maybe a couple of our bench players like Torrey Craig, they could be in trade conversations for sure. But those are the key guys that I think we need to be talking about. What do you think? Do you think we're going to be trading? Do you think we're going to be hesitating just a little bit? Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.